Good morning. Welcome, everyone. We're really excited to have you join us. Please go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. The Whova chat is on the top right of your screen, and you'll be able to use that throughout the session to add any questions or comments as we get going. I am Maria Cavilla. I'm the Director of Apprenticeship Strategies at Philadelphia Works, and we are a critical partner of ApprenticeshipPHL. ApprenticeshipPHL is a regional public-private collaborative with the goal of increasing registered apprenticeship. One of the pieces that's really critical is that we have this beautiful broad range of partners who are really committed to pushing the agenda forward and expanding apprenticeship, not only in the trades and areas where there's been traditionally apprenticeship, but also in really new and innovative spaces, including healthcare, IT, and a lot of other new and exciting areas. So how can Apprenticeship PHL support you? We do a variety of different activities between outreach and education, like the event that you're joining in today. We also support apprenticeship registration and provide technical assistance. So if you as an organization are thinking of whether or not apprenticeship is a good fit for you, or are seeking out some technical assistance because you need to make some modifications to ensure that your apprenticeship is successful, we're here to support. We also support many of our partners in pursuing funding opportunities, and because apprenticeships key ingredient is partnership, we work on regional partnerships and making connections across the region to ensure that we're able to strengthen our efforts and have a greater impact. Please remember that you can use Whova to network. Part of why we wanted to use this platform and why we love it is you can go ahead and click on attendees and find all the people that are attending and registered for the conference, and you can send them a message, you can view their profile, you can set up a video call, all within the platform. So I know that we all miss talking over coffee and donuts, but this is a different way of providing that opportunity because this is the world we live in. On the community platform, you're also able to share information, whether it's about your organization or ask any questions that you'd like other participants to comment on. Lastly, because we wanted to have a fireside chat type conversation with our panelists this morning, attendees are muted with their cameras off. The session is being recorded, and you can use the Whova chat and Q&A feature to ask any questions, and we'll be able to pass those on and have our wonderful panelists answer. Please connect with us. We've got all the social media. So we've got a hashtag APHL 2021. Cassandra's been doing a marvelous job at tweeting and posting on Facebook and LinkedIn regularly. So feel free to follow us. And lastly, in the chat, Cassandra's going to put a link to a doodle poll, which is if you have questions or just want to have a conversation about whether or not this is a fit for you or whether or not this might make sense for your organization or to find out what we can do to support, just complete the link. We'll set up a conversation and see where it goes from there. So that is the overall oh, my computer is doing fun things. There we go. All right, so that is, so sorry. The basics of housekeeping. And so I'm super excited to have Dwayne and Judy join us. Your expertise and experience in apprenticeship is so valuable, and we really want to hear from you. So Judy, do you want to start and introduce yourself and your organization's role in apprenticeship?
Sure. Thanks, Maria. And good morning, everybody. It's been a treat to be able to start to see the chats of where you're coming from, most in the deep freeze and others. So hopefully everybody's safe and well. And we're glad that you chose to join us. I'm Judy Dotsman. I'm the Executive Director of SPIN. We are a nonprofit human service organization providing lifespan services for children and adults with intellectual disability and autism. We also provide high quality early education, early childhood education. And we have two registered apprenticeship programs, one in the area of direct support professionals for our adult services, and one in the area of early childhood education. And we began our apprenticeship programs in May of 2017 and have been very, very immediately engaged in what we think is a wonderful opportunity, something that we are, deeply committed to, and we feel is a solution to a workforce crisis that we have in both of these areas. And we have evidence, we believe, that this is absolutely a great opportunity for career pathing for future leaders, hopefully in our areas of service provision. Dwayne?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm going to echo Judy's thoughts. We're very excited to be here with you today and happy you joined us to talk about our registered apprenticeships. My name is Dwayne Rohr. I am the Senior Advisor for Workforce Initiatives at CVS Health. I work for the Workforce Initiatives Department, which is kind of unique. We're probably one of the only companies that have this type of department, but we have individuals in our department who cover the whole United States, and we go out and work with local, state, and city governments, workforce boards, community colleges, nonprofit organizations to develop a pipeline of diverse candidates into our organization. And we're also here to help break the cycle of poverty. So a lot of these organizations we are working with some of the underprivileged or people who need those skills to get back into the work field. And that was one of the reasons why we started with our apprenticeship program back in 2005. CVS is the very first healthcare company to start a pharmacy tech apprenticeship program. As I said, we started that in 2005. We have added more apprenticeship to that. We have store management. We have our logistics apprenticeship program. We also have our call center apprenticeship program, and we're continuing to add more to this as we grow. We do have over 9,000 apprentices in our company, and we have a goal that our CEO has set, part of our social justice equality program that our CEO has challenged us to get another 10,000 apprentices in the next 5 years. So we're going to continue working with this program. It's a huge benefit to us. There's a lot of benefits to the individuals, but also to the companies involved with the apprenticeship. So it does give us highly screened and qualified pool of candidates because we have the partners screening candidates for us. The credential is recognized nationwide, which is huge for the individuals. It's a career path developed by a pipeline of skilled workers. There is wage increases based on how they go through the apprenticeship program. And for us, we notice that our turnover rates are lower with the individuals going through this type of program and going through our other partnership programs. So happy to be here today.
So just as a follow-up, so when Dwayne said 10,000, he wasn't lying. And, so when he first told me that, my mouth went like, okay, because of the fact that, you're going to be talking to two different programs, which I think is great, Maria, because, for us, it's one by one. So our numbers are much lower as far as the apprentices that we have brought in since 2017. However, the impact we hope is just as great. But I am, I'm amazed at Dwayne and the outcomes that they have. Also, I think I forgot to tell you that we provide our services in Philadelphia and the surrounding counties in the Lehigh Valley, just so everybody knows. Thanks.
Beautiful. Thank you both. Yeah, I think that the beauty of this conversation is really the two perspectives from a nationwide organization that's doing this across the country to a smaller social services organization that's really diversified and looked into not just one apprenticeship, but multiple apprenticeships so that you can make this be more robust across your organization. So I think there's really distinct beauty in both the work that you are doing. So I want to kind of go in a little bit deeper. Oftentimes we get a lot of the 101s and the why it's fabulous. I want to ask a different kind of question. I want to hear about what is hard about apprenticeship and what is easy and why you still choose to do it. Dwayne, you want to start us off?
Sure. So I don't know that there's anything really easy about it. It's a program that takes a lot of time, and you have to be committed to it. I think the hardest part is getting the right candidates. It takes a lot of working with our partners, working with our community colleges to make sure we're educating them on the right type of candidate to go into this program. Being a pharmacy tech apprenticeship, we have to abide by the laws of the Board of Pharmacy for each state. So, CVS is registered right now in 21 states for apprenticeship. We are recognized and approved by the national DOL. But even though you're approved by the national DOL, you still have to be approved by each state as you go into it. So getting it set up can be challenging sometimes because each state has their different rules and regulations with apprenticeship. So you can't run two apprenticeships the same way. So really you're having to structure it as you go in with new partners. If there's a grant involved, there's a lot of paperwork involved with grants. Grants are great to have because it helps pay for the individual's training to get into the apprenticeship program. So that's very valuable because we want one of the advantages for the people going into apprenticeship programs is they should not have to pay for this. We want them to be able to get a credential that they can start a career path and not be in debt when they start that. So that is our goal. So that's why we like to have those grants to pay for their education with our partners. So there's a lot of paperwork involved, a lot of communication, a lot of hand holding. We have found the more successful we can be, we have to know those apprentices from the very beginning to the end and stay involved with them. Having a good mentor with them is valuable for them and for us to make sure they get through the program as well. So I don't know that it's hard or easy. It's a lot of work and a lot of time put into it, but the payoff at the end is well worth it when you have individuals. As I said, we have over 9,000 apprentices. We got 9,000 people that were able to gain a job, starting a career that they can move up in, and we have a career path for them. So that's the rewards of it all at the end, is when you can get them that credential and they've got a job where they can move up and have a career path. Judy?
Thanks, Dwayne. I completely obviously agree with everything that Dwayne said. And so for us in the services that we provide for, people with intellectual disability and autism and human services, we all know that the most important component is carrying highly trained and competent staff. And, always that is a concern and a huge challenge with a workforce crisis that just keeps, growing each day. You need new ideas, you need opportunities and solutions to bring in, as Dwayne described, a new pipeline of people. And so when I was introduced, and actually this came through my relationship with Philadelphia Works and Community College of Philadelphia, I had learned of the opportunity through an intermediary. That's always a tough word to say, Maria, intermediary of the Training and Upgrading Fund here in Philadelphia. And they were very aware of the workforce crisis. And so I didn't have to Philadelphia Works or anybody explain the need. I mean, it was already something that was important to all of us. And so when we describe what's hard is already, what exists in a situation where we need very good, competent people, that we were already training people, spending $5,000 for every onboard in new hire employee, and people were walking out the door when they learned and felt like, oh, I'm not cut out for this. So what we found is that the apprenticeship program is really a realistic job preview to the work that we need people to do. And so it provides stability for a situation when people already know from oftentimes through a pre-apprenticeship program that what they're going to do in the on-the-job training. And then the on-the-job training becomes something that is, extremely important and meaningful. And as Dwayne said, the mentor component is really the key priority. So when we made the commitment, we knew that the investment was significant. And one of the things that we found, you have to have executive commitment. This is not something that you can have a group of people, a team of people that have specific responsibility in their job to say, okay, this is your initiative. There's no way it'll work. You have to have a very connected executive team that is not just believing in it and advocating for it, but is absolutely involved in it. That often can be difficult. The population that we are engaged with is a population of young adults who have a great deal of trauma. Everyone's experiencing trauma. I don't have to tell any of you, especially right now, but this population specifically is dealing with, very significant trauma. And so you need to have trauma-informed care approaches that are, very much embedded in all of the support that we provide. There is a lot of hand-holding. I'm going to be honest with you. This isn't something that you can just say, we're going to provide the training and you're going to do great. See you later. This is a lot of hand-holding. You need to show them that you care about them. You need to show them that that you value. No different than what we need to do with all of our employees, but there really is some uniqueness to this, because oftentimes, again, in the at-risk youth, they have not had this opportunity before, and they're measured, and they're worried, and they're concerned, and they have anxiety and stress. And so all of that has to be, the logistics as Dwayne described is absolutely important. And I'll tell you one thing, the most important thing is transportation. It is very difficult for this population oftentimes to get to where they need to get to. There's a lot of support that needs to be provided to be able to assure that people can access and be a part of, and then, be successful in their experience.
Beautiful, thank you. So I think my next question is, so going through the apprenticeship registration process is sort of its own discrete set of challenges and lifts, and we talked a little bit about that. But can we talk about, once an apprenticeship program is registered, what are some of the pieces that you found to be critical for it to be successfully implemented and for it to work well?
Do you want me to start with that, Maria?
Yes.
So once we're registered, it's having the right partner for us, finding the right partner who's going to get the referrals over to us, and then it's putting a plan together, a lot of communication. So when I have apprenticeship programs in the states that I cover, I like having weekly calls. And, I work with Maria on an apprenticeship program through Philadelphia Works. We have every bi-weekly calls. I think that communication piece is huge, to make sure we're getting the right referrals, to make sure the partnership understands what it is that the company is looking for, what qualifications they're looking for in these candidates, what soft skills these candidates need. And to Judy's point, having those wraparound skills is really important for us because transportation, childcare, we work, a lot of single moms seem to go into our apprenticeship program, making sure they have the childcare. So for us, it's making sure we're working with the right partner who has the same values and the same outlook on what we want to do with our candidates and the same caring and empathy to help these candidates get through this. And it is a hand-holding experience because you're going to run into problems. All different types of things can pop up. They may have trouble with transportation getting there, childcare. They may not have the clothes they need. So it's partnering with organizations that's going to be able to provide those wraparound services is very important to us to help those candidates. And it's getting them through the program, because once they get through that pre-apprenticeship and they're hired at CVS and actually start the apprenticeship, it's still another 12 to 18 months before they finish that whole apprenticeship. So you really got to work with that person and keep them going. There's with our training, it can be very intense. There's web-based training, there's classroom training, there's on-the-job training. So there's a lot to do with the pharmacy tech program, and a lot of training. It can be stressful. So it's a lot of keeping their spirits high as they're going through the program and getting them through. But again, at the end of the day, it's the reward at the end of the program that you've got this candidate through there. They're starting a career path. They have a credential. And to what Judy was saying there with the population she works with, that credential on their resume means a lot because a lot of these individuals aren't going to college. They need those credentials. So, all those extra things we can give them in the pre-apprenticeship, customer service training, we should be giving them certificates for that so that they can have all these different things to put on their resume that they accomplished through the pre-apprenticeship and then that apprenticeship certificate at the end.
Absolutely, Dwayne. And, when you're talking about that kind of, commitment, it needs to be authentic, and people need to really see that it's not something that is, kind of poster board, but, very much a living experience, culture of the organization. And, we believe that has been what our history has been. We're celebrating 50 years it's been, and we have experienced a great deal of career development opportunities. I was a volunteer and an intern at Spin, almost 40 years ago, and was 40 years ago, I guess. And at this point, didn't obviously anticipate that I would make my career here, but it gave me an opportunity as a young adult. Now that would be a privileged young adult as compared to many of the young adults that we're supporting in our program. And as Dwayne said, never more than ever do we need to assure that our diversity, equity, and inclusion programs are committed to supporting getting, really eradicating systemic racism and making sure that we are mitigating bias in all of our policies and our processes. And this one area is something that we can really see evidence that is something that that works. As far as our relationship with our intermediary, which is the Training and Upgrading Fund, as well as our relationship with Philadelphia Works, and then all the colleges that we're engaged with, we felt that was something that we needed to have, a very strong commitment to, and that has been over many years. But the Training and Upgrading Fund for us was a selection. We were very aware of their passionate dedication. I am, completely amazed by the trailblazer at Training and Upgrading Fund, Cheryl Feldman, who made sure that this was a very not just a dream, but a reality. And I met her years ago, 20 years ago, when she was talking about this, and I said, I'm going to be on board when this comes to be. And we were reconnected the upgrading fund, the training and upgrading fund obviously has, a history of evidence in technical expertise. Their collaboration with, their collaborative relationships with employers is impeccable. Their commitment to building career opportunities and the pipelines is something that obviously we're aligned with. And they, something that we were not going to be able to do was to shepherd the program through the government processes that are extremely difficult in registering an apprenticeship program. So, for us, it was an easy, push the easy button. We need support to be able to do this. And so we reached to our friends at Philadelphia Works and Training and Upgrading Fund to be able to support us to do that, because of the fact that it is extremely challenging. We also, one of the things that, as Dwayne was describing, you need to always circle back. This has to be a holistic approach, but one of the most important pieces is recognition. And so, we need to have constant recognition for in outcomes and excellence. And, as Dwayne described, this is a heavy lift. And, you find out that, you go from one step to the next step, and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, that's so far down the road here that I'm going to be, have my, be an apprentice, registered apprentice. And you have to say, yes, but we're going to be here along the way, helping you to get to these milestones. And so there's celebrations, and there's all kinds of things that we do, formal and informal, to be able to assure that people feel very, very valued and appreciated for their investment. And that's through they themselves, the mentors, obviously the full team. This takes a village. This takes a village. This isn't something that happens by, one person. We have to work together. And so it's oftentimes valuing and appreciating of the full group to make sure that we're all staying on track and on board. And you have to structure it. One of the most important things is really structuring your program to make sure that you are specific in timelines. And it's oftentimes some of the apprentices haven't had that kind of responsibility before, or they haven't succeeded in that responsibility. So you need to make sure that you don't leave anything to assumption. Make sure that it's something that is that specific.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So I think you alluded to this in some level, but I want to kind of dig a bit deeper in terms of equity and diversity. So this is one of the themes of our symposium, which is really how do you support both recruitment and retention of more diverse talent pipeline, and what are some of the things that your organization has done to support this commitment?
So, right now that is a huge undertaking for us. As I said, our CEO has set aside $600 million for the next 5 years for us to go in the community and work with the whole social injustice and equity that is going on. So I think it's getting into those communities that need us the most. And that's what we're trying to do. Our workforce initiatives team here at CVS, as I said, we cover the whole United States. And the apprenticeship program is a great program going into these communities, especially with some of these young adults, people with disabilities. It's giving them a chance at a career path. And it is a tough struggle, as Judy said, to get through it. But it's having the right plan put together, and working with those individuals and letting them know you are going to be there for them. Because sometimes some of these individuals that were coming from these communities, they have never had anybody there to support them through everything. They get told a lot of ideas, but we are actually going to carry this through with them. We're not just here saying, yes, we're going to do that. We're going to hire 10,000 apprentices. We are here and we're going to get that done because we're going to put the work into it and we're going to guide them through the whole program. As Judy said, it's not something you can just say and it's going to happen. It takes a lot of people, and a lot of work to get through it. A lot of recruiting, a lot of skill training, and training as you go through, and keeping these people upbeat that, you know, they're doing a great job, you know, and they're getting through the program piece by piece here, because there is a lot of pieces to the puzzle until you get to the end. But it's a benefit to the colleague because it gets them on that career path. I can't say that enough. And it's a benefit to the company because we've got a loyal employee that we've helped through the channels. They're going to stay with us. That's where the retention rate comes in. You know, if they're staying with us through that 12 to 18 months to finish that apprenticeship program, they're going to stay with us and they're going to be loyal to the company because we helped them get there. And then we're going to offer them other stuff after that, whether it be college tuition if they do decide to go to college, or offer them the different pathways. So at CVS, we're a large enough company that we can offer different pathways for them, career pathways, whether it goes into a lead technician, goes into store management, goes into workforce initiatives like I did on the HR side of the business. So there's a lot of different career paths that we can take these candidates once their foot's in the door. So I always say when you come to CVS, you're not starting a job, you're starting, your first day there is the first day of starting your career. And that's what this apprenticeship program is. It's that first step. It's that first step of getting them in the door.
It's really been just so enjoyable to be with Dwayne and in our preparation sessions, because, you know, it's really exciting to see the alignment that we have. You know, two totally different businesses doing different things, but very much about caring about their employees, caring about the community. And this is a great way to be able to share that. And as you know, Dwayne described, we are committed to assuring that we are doing everything that we can to support our communities, to see the end of systemic racism. And you know, what we see in our organizations, you know, we know that we need to transform. We have a culture that we believe is a positive one, but we know what exists, and that we all have to be open and honest about what we need to do differently. And you know, what is exciting for me when I think about supporting this population is that we're building the bridges out of poverty. And you know, we have a great deal, as Dwayne was saying, you know, when you're creating these you know, new opportunities for people, maybe they didn't see themselves as ever becoming involved in, you know, in a college education. But the program that we're involved with does provide college credit for their involvement in the program. And so their partnership with you know, Community College of Philadelphia, as well as Jefferson University. And you know, when we did a study back in before 2000, and we looked at our workforce, we only had 2 direct support professionals that had some credit, college credit. That was very different from how I became involved in direct support. I was a direct support professional, and I had a master's degree, and that was, you know, 9 years ago, because that's how it was presented. You know, highly educated people were involved in the service. We were looking at a very different situation, and one that we wanted to be able to provide opportunity to be successful. So we engaged in on-site college programs and other things, and you know, so the apprenticeship program is an absolute solution to equity and inclusion, because of the fact that we are providing safe ways that people can be involved in creating, you know, themselves for higher education, career pathing opportunities. We are at SPIN, we have a United Coalition for Racial Justice, and it's a committee across the organization at all levels of the organization, and it is made up of our diverse employee base. What we are looking for are people, and of course the apprentices are invited to be a part of that coalition. We are hoping to lead what we believe to be the necessary thing to listen, see, learn, and change. And in doing that, we are going to hopefully create new opportunities for people to feel that they are included, that everyone matters, and that our Black employees, our employees of color are recognized and appreciated for their excellence, and something that we need to do on an ongoing basis. So we are very committed to this, and feel that the apprenticeship program does offer a great solution to provide equal and for us, we're working for a living wage for our employees. This is something so critical, and having people be able to have college degrees. We need increased government funding, obviously, and but valuing the direct support professional and the early childhood education personnel is something that absolutely has to happen, and the apprenticeship program brings that value and recognition.
Beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So thank you to those of you who have placed questions in the chat, but feel free to go ahead and add some any additional questions that come up. I've got one specific question for Dwayne. Can you talk a little bit about what strategies were put in place to help CVS successfully scale the apprenticeship program? What resources and tools needed to be in place for that to happen?
So yeah, that's a good question. So, when we first started the apprenticeship program, actually my colleague Lena Barkley out of Detroit, Michigan was the first to start it for our department. A lot of it's got to start with the leadership. Like, our leadership in our company has to believe in it, has to support it in order for it to work. So, getting their buy-in and getting them to understand the apprenticeship program was the first step, because our workforce initiatives department, we don't make the hires. The hires come from the hiring manager, so we can send all the candidates we want over there, but we got to have them believing in the program. So it was an education piece, educating our leadership, our hiring managers on the apprenticeship program and the values of having it. And then it's having a plan in place. It's working with our partners, and no two apprenticeships are always going to look the same. I'm in a new apprenticeship right now in New Jersey with the community college, and it took a lot of time for us to put the plan together. This doesn't happen overnight. Our apprenticeship grant was approved, and it took us 6 months to a year to get the whole plan in place to really start recruiting candidates. So it's having that plan, and how you're going to develop these candidates through the pre-apprenticeship to get them started. It's also great because the pre-apprenticeship helps the candidate to understand if this is what they want to do. Sometimes we can place people in jobs, but if it's not the right job, they're not going to stay there. So they're going to be back at that organization again, looking for another job. With the pre-apprenticeship, we can bring them in. They can do a work experience in the stores. They're learning some of the pharmacy tech, and it helps them decide, is this what I want to do? Is this what I'm really interested in? So those are all the tools that have to be put in place. There has to be, I'm a big flow chart person, so I like to have a flow chart, and this is the steps we're going to go through with this candidate. Here's where they start, and here's where they're going to end up. And we've got to all work together to get them from point A to point B. So it's having the buy-in, and I think Judy said earlier, it's a team. It takes a village to get this done. It's not one person can say, hey, I want to start this apprenticeship program and it's going to be successful. And every program you put into place is not going to be successful. We've learned that. We've tried some in some places, it didn't work. We try another way of doing it. So it's trial and error sometimes on getting this to work. And when you do have that plan in place, you're going to make adjustments to it as you run that first cohort of candidates through it, because you're going to see, oh yeah, we forgot about this and we need to add this, or whatever it may be. So, you know, getting your leadership's buy-in, having a good plan in place, a good training plan, and the soft skills training is very, very important when you're putting somebody into a program like this. There needs to be the resume writing, the interview skills, the communication skills, and then there are those wraparound services. That's another tool that you have to have in place, because you're going to need those. You're going to run into those complications, and we don't want someone dropping out of the program who's doing so well because of a small problem. And that's where those wraparound services need to come in. I hope that answers the question.
Beautiful, thank you. And you even went into my next question, which is about pre-apprenticeship and sort of how you are using pre-apprenticeship as a pathway to recruit, and sort of what are the benefits and challenges. So I think you spoke a little bit about that, Dwayne, but Judy, do you want to chime in a little bit about pre-apprenticeship?
Sure. Thanks, Maria. So at Spin, we actually only accept people who have gone through the pre-apprenticeship program. That is something that is a requirement for anybody to come into the apprenticeship program. And you know, we are very engaged during the pre-apprenticeship program, and we do presentations, and you know, and that's when oftentimes the pre-apprentice is going through the interviewing. They come to do a day where all the students can come and spend you know, a day at our organization, seeing what we do, so that it can be an informed choice if they are interested. The other thing that I think is critical is that you are involved with where you have the choice. We interview, as Dwayne was saying, we interview, and then if we believe that this person this should be in the apprenticeship program, then they're hired, you know, obviously as a Spin employee, but as an apprentice. And you know, rather than somebody saying, I have 5 apprentices for you, that's not how we function. So it is it's an interview process, just like we would do when we're interviewing for a hire of the employee. But of course, we're looking at things that we understand is our responsibility in supporting the apprentice along the way. We believe that you know, the other piece that we're looking at is when is the numbers. And I'm just going to be honest with you. So like when you hear Dwayne say 10,000, you know, for us, you know, we needed to say what would be capacity for our organization because of the intensiveness of it. And so, you know, at first we thought, oh, you know, so this is a huge solution. We're going to come at this like gangbusters, you know. So for us, if we said like, oh, we're going to take 10 at a time, that doesn't sound like a lot when you're talking about 10,000. But for us, that was extraordinary. I mean, beyond impossible. We weren't able to do it, and everyone would have a disservice. The apprentice, this organization, you know, in jeopardizing the resources. The mentors couldn't keep up. We had the people we support wouldn't have been getting the appropriate care and service. So we scaled back. And we realized that, you know, 3 to 5 at a time is the most. And we were really in that sweet spot at 3 to 4 each time, each cohort. And then because as you're looking at the matching of all the resources that you need, you know, that's that many more mentors, and onboarding mentors is not a simple task. You know, what we do is we market to find the best of our best. And then when you do find them, then you train them. We had plenty of partnership between training and upgrading fund to help us to train the mentors. There's the structuring, there's making sure that people, plus they're doing their own job. So let's not forget that they can't mess up on what they're doing in their own service provision. This is added too. And so, there's constant check-ins. The manager of that specific, where the apprenticeship is working, has to have full responsibility. And so there's a great deal of setting guidelines, lots of timelines, making sure that people are staying consistent, and finding out what is a challenge, finding solutions very quickly. And so all of that, works into it. We also, it creates a great learning culture, and something that we find is smooth, but we are consistently looking for ways that we can do it better. And we're always looking for, where there's lots of debriefing that has to happen. So what your relationship with your partners is very important, and responsiveness on all parts. You have to be responsive, and you have to look for people that you're partnered with to be responsive, because these things happen. I mean, we've had some pretty serious situations where we needed to reach out and say, hey, wait a second, we need some help. Something's happening here. Can you jump back in and help us to provide support to this apprentice who's struggling, because of the fact that we've developed now a partnership for this to be successful.
Beautiful, thank you. So Judy, you spoke a little bit about mentorship and sort of both the value and the challenges. Dwayne, can you speak a little bit about mentorship at CVS?
Yeah, so we like to assign a new hire coming in to a person that's already experienced. Usually it's our lead technician. So they may not work with that person every shift that they're there, because we have various shifts in our stores, but there's always somebody there with experience that's going to be able to help them and guide them through. And as I said, we have a very intense training plan. So we have field colleague trainers who do all of our training. So they will have the same trainer through the whole process as they go through that. So they are assigned a field colleague trainer, and then they have the help of the staff in the store each time.
And actually, Maria, if I could add, so again, the program that we are involved in, the mentor receives a stipend, which obviously to me is an extremely important aspect. People want to do these things, but if they can be incentivized to do it, it's an important aspect.
Beautiful, thank you. So I've got one concrete question for you guys, and then I want to kind of have a moment to have some closing thoughts about, so with all the challenges, why do you still choose to go down the apprenticeship route, and any other parting thoughts or words of advice? So the operational question that I'm getting, there's a few folks that are interested. What are the qualifications needed for your program? And then I think closing thoughts is the other follow-up.
So qualifications for us, because of the type of job it is, the pharmacy tech job, they must be 18 years old. They must have a high school diploma or a GED, and must be able to pass a background and a drug test. That's just the Board of Pharmacy laws. And there are other, each state has their own certain laws that they have with that. So those are the main qualifications we're looking at. We also look at that we would like them to be in an 8th grade math and reading level. Otherwise, they could face some challenges in the program with pharmacy tech. So those are probably the main qualifications we're looking at. And then we're looking for customer service skills, right? We're a healthcare industry, so we're dealing with patients, we're dealing with people who are sick. So we're looking for people who have empathy and caring type of individual for that job. So I would say that's the main qualifications we're looking at. Just real quick here and some closing thoughts on why we continue to do apprenticeship. We see the value in it. It's the right thing to do for the communities. It's the right thing to do for these candidates. It's given them a chance to break that cycle of poverty. And we're getting good quality candidates out of it. Working in our stores, candidates who know that we care about them and we're here to help them. And the other thing is the retention rate. Like, we know those candidates are going to stay with us. We see the numbers, that the retention rate is there. And that's important to an employer, especially in healthcare. You know, we want our patients, you know, nobody wants to go to the doctor's office and see someone different in there all the time. When patients come to our pharmacies, they like seeing the same technicians there. So having that retention rate is huge for us.
So we ditto. That's easy, Dwayne. As far as the requirements, they are the same. And when you also, for us, we're going to also look for the qualities that we need in a caring individual, who wants to commit to human service. And so, you know, that piece doesn't change a lot. We're going to still look for that same right fit in the work that we do. You know, why do we do this? You know, we are growing the future of our services. There's no doubt. And when you know, as I said, I can't say it less, that we are experiencing more and more workforce challenges. We are worried about being able to continue to provide services to the most vulnerable people in our society. And you know, so we remain committed, but the solution is such an important one, such a good one. And you know, so the benefits, as McLean said, just far outweigh the challenges. You know, there's evidence, you know, this is an evidence-based result and of the solution. And for us, sure, you know, not every apprentice has continued to be employed at Spin. There's a lot of different reasons that separation, you know, might have happened. And most often it's not because of we separated them. But sometimes these circumstances have, and very rarely, you know, the commitment has deepened, loyalty as well as the retention. And so, you know, what we're gaining is highly trained, highly competent, caring members of our workforce. And that realistic job preview that Dwayne and I were talking about is immeasurable. You can't, you know, to have somebody who comes on and really gets and understands through that pre-apprenticeship program what they're going to be doing. You know, we try to show it through videos, and we try to say, you know, here's a testimonial, but you can't get it unless you're, you know, really experiencing it. And the lived experiences that this population have are actually benefiting us as well, because of the fact that they understand how important it is to be cared about. And so they are caring for others. And yes, it's draining, no doubt it's draining, but we are, you know, really looking at how can we continue to support each other. That holistic approach is what is important. Our return on investment is no doubt measured, and you know, in recruitment and retention data. You know, our vacancy and turnover is far less than the average. That's for a lot of reasons, but we know that the apprenticeship program adds into that. And you know, we're grateful for the partnerships that we have, and you know, we're growing it. We're working hard. We're learning lessons all along, and we really encourage others to, you know, truly commit to being engaged.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. I want to say thank you to Judy and Dwayne for being willing to have the conversation, for showing up. But I think for both of your organizations, you guys, your organizations really believe in, you know, the commitment to the people, and that people are really our most valuable resource, and to invest in them is really to invest in the organization and the growth of it. So thank you both so very much. Appreciate your time. Thank you to all of our participants. Thank you for being willing to join the conversation, listen in, ask the questions. Judy, I may have to steal the easy button of working with APHL in Philadelphia Works around when you have to build an apprenticeship and need to find a way to start. We can be your easy button. And so thank you, everybody. So appreciate your time. Hope you'll join us for the rest of the week. We've got a couple of really great panels talking about the role of educational institutions in apprenticeship. We've got a really great presentation talking about how to develop the ecosystem and the network. That's coming up on Thursday. And Friday, it's going to be an absolute delight to have Patrick Clancy, Sheila Ireland, and Eric Zelezno join us and have a conversation around where do we go next and how do we anticipate some of the changes that are happening nationally driving apprenticeship, and how can we do that from a lens that really focuses on equity and coming back and growing better from everything that the pandemic has shown us. So thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you and have a beautiful day.
Bye, everybody.
One.